All right, so for number 14, we're going to match each function to its graph. And notice that we have some graphs of radicals, and we have a graph of exponential. So one thing that we could do is we could go ahead and plug in these to our graphing calculator and see what we get. We could also look at the characteristics of each graph to tell what happens. If you look at I and V, or 1 and 5, you can see that 1 and 5 kind of have that form of a square root of x graph, a root x graph. So the only graphs that don't have a cubed on them up here are B and C. So really, 1 and 5 are going to be between B and C, so I have to decide which is which. Well, I know that if there's a +2 out here and it's not in the radical, that's actually going to move up and down. So that actually moves a graph up and down. So what is the one between 1 and 5 that's moved up or down? Well, 5 is the only moved up, and you can see it's moved up 2 units. So I know that B will go with this one, which only leaves the other one, C, to go with this one. Okay? So now that we're done with the square root graphs, let's go ahead and take a look at the cube root graphs. I have a cube root here, I have a cube root here. This one is not a cube root, it's a cubic graph. They actually have a similar look to them. So really all I have is this one here, and this one here. Now if you notice, both of these actually go sideways. And notice I also have 2 cube root graphs. And that's the biggest difference, is if you have a cubed graph, an x cubed graph, it's going to go up and down. Okay, you're going to have that end behavior of going to infinity for x and y. And also for y. So really I'm looking at graph D, or sorry, equation D and equation E for the graphs of 2 and 4. So now I have to decide which of them go with which. Alright, so for graph D, this one has been moved 2 units up and 1 unit to the right. And this graph has been moved 1 unit down and 2 units to the left. So if this one was moved up and this one was moved down, which of those graphs is higher on the y-axis? And you can tell that graph 4 is higher, so therefore equation D goes with graph 4, which must mean that equation E goes with graph 2. Now again, you could verify all of these by plugging them in your calculator and seeing the behavior. And I'll just go ahead and demonstrate one of them. The last one, we know that A and 3 are going to go together. But let's just go ahead and see what it's going to look like when we graph it. So I'm going to put in the 1/4 x cubed. So go up to graph 1. I'm going to do 1/4. So 1/4, make sure you put your fraction in parentheses, x cubed plus 3. And then again, if you graph it, you can see how it's the only one that has the same orientation as the graph number 3. So again, equation A goes with graph 3.